When I was a teenager, my brother assaulted me. My parents never believed me and did nothing. Now they demand me to save my father and apologize to my brother. Original post. When I was a teenager, my brother assaulted me. Despite I'm 2 years older than him, he was bigger and stronger than me. He threatened me with hurting me, that no one would believe me, and kept doing it until I had enough and told my parents about it. Sadly, he was right. My parents didn't believe me. They were really mad and punished me hard for saying that horrible things about my brother. He was always their favorite, so they couldn't believe he'd done that. I tried really hard to convince them. Even showed my mother the bruises on my legs and the marks of his bites, but she refused to believe me. The moment I was able to, I ran away from home. For years I resent them, even hated them. My brother for the abuse and my parents for doing nothing to help me. They only knew the truth because one day my brother was really drunk and told my dad about it. He told him how I was his first and how much fun he got from me. They contacted me, and I believed they would apologize, offer me help, or even make my brother face the consequences of what he did. But no, my mother idea was that everyone must admit we all do wrong. We all made mistakes and forgive each other for everything. So we could keep that in the past and became a happy and united family again. I left them and never talked to them again. That's the moment I decided they were not my family anymore. Now in the present, after several years, lots of struggles and a long time in therapy, I'm finally having a happy life. I'm married with a wonderful man and aiming to someday start a family with him. Until recently, my mother found me. My father is sick, his liver is failing and needs a new one. My mother knows that my blood type is the same as my father's, so he reached me to make me test, so I could donate my liver to him. I told her no. I just can't. No to him. No to any of them. She said that I owe him that at least, that I was being an ungrateful daughter, that he is my father, and that's the least I can do for the family, that I have no right to be so spiteful for a silly teenage mistake, and I was killing him for saying no. I tried to stay strong, until one day my brother contacted my husband. Beside telling him about my father's situation, and how I said no, he told him lots of awful things and lies about me, saying how I used to be an easy one, a liar, that I offered myself to everyone. He even lied on how I took advantage of him. Even mentioned details of my body that would be impossible to know in a normal situation. He pointed me as the worst scumbag that ever lived. My husband didn't know anything about my past. I only told him that my family was abusive, but never told him everything. He didn't believe him, but he wanted to know the truth and asked me my version. I broke down and cried like never before while I told him everything. He hugged me all the time, making me feel protected. My mother and brother are still harassing me, trying to guilt me until I accept to do the tests. They even demanded me to apologize to them. My husband has helped me a lot with them, keeping them away. I feel like I'm back in my teenage years, feeling so scared, weak, and vulnerable. I believe I had overcome that part of my life, but I see I haven't. My opinion for OP: I'm truly sorry to hear about the pain and trauma you've experienced throughout your life due to the abuse from your brother and the lack of support from your parents. It's clear that you've endured a great deal of suffering, and it's completely understandable that you've carried these feelings with you. Your decision to distance yourself from your family was a means of protecting yourself, and it's important to prioritize your own well-being and mental health. It's evident that their actions have caused you significant pain, and that their recent attempts to guilt you into helping are re-traumatizing you. First and foremost, you should prioritize your safety, mental health, and well-being. It's important to remember that you are not responsible for the choices your family members have made, and their actions are not a reflection of your worth. As for your husband, it's wonderful that he has been supportive and understanding throughout this difficult time. Having someone who is there for you can make a significant positive impact on your healing process. Given the recent contact from your family, you might consider seeking professional guidance from a therapist or counselor. They can provide you with the tools and coping strategies to navigate these difficult interactions and emotions. Additionally, if the harassment from your family members continues and escalates, you might also want to explore legal options for restraining orders or other measures to protect yourself. Ultimately, the decision to have any form of contact with your family should be based on what you believe is best for your own healing and well-being. You have the right to make choices that prioritize your happiness and safety. It's important to surround yourself with supportive people who care about you and respect your boundaries. Remember that healing is a journey, and it's okay to reach out for help when needed. Your strength in sharing your story and seeking assistance is commendable, and I hope that you continue to find the support you deserve as you move forward. Now for the update. I want to thank all of you. This last few days have been terrifying. Lots of things happened, and I don't know where to start. I felt weak and defenseless, and I was about to break multiple times, but all your support helped a lot. Helped me to comprehend I'm not the monster here, that they had no right of anything from me. Having people telling me almost every day that they are the evil ones and the support of my husband had made me stay strong. I don't know how to say thank you enough to all of you. After reading your comments, I tried to take all your advices. I asked to talk with them, to get information, and maybe some recordings. My husband stayed at my side all the time. Thing that my mother hated, saying multiple times that he had nothing to do there, that this was an only family issue, that she doesn't recognize him as my husband, because we never married on their community's church. But I told them he is with me, even if they don't like it. They weren't lying. My dad is dying, and is way worse than I thought. He needed my liver as soon as possible, and apparently I was their last option. They believed that I would bend and do anything they ordered the moment they contacted me, just as I used to when I was a child, but not anymore. As some suggested, I started to record every conversation with my phone. I tried to make them admit about the abuse and their role in it, because, as some told me to, I investigated and what my brother did to me does not prescribe. But it was meaningless. Mom just keeps saying that never happened, that all was lies, that I'm insane and only wanted to hurt the family. I even told my dad that I would take the test if they helped me, to testify or sign a document saying what my brother did to me. But again, it was useless. Mom keeps saying that never happened, and I was lying, and Dad, he acted like I insulted him, saying things like how I dare to try to extort them with something like that I should be ashamed for everything I did to them, and that I should be the one kneeling in front of them, begging for their forgiveness and offering everything. I had to save his life. After everything that happened, even that situation, they still believe I'm the problematic child they always claimed I was, that they still had authority over me, and that I owe them this. I was done after that. I told them I'm not doing that they have no right to ask me anything, that I don't consider them my parents since they enabled my brother to abuse me, my husband, and I left them. But all the way to the car, my mother followed us, yelling at me for killing my own father. She even quoted the Bible saying that I should obey my father and mother, but looks like I wanted to add another sin to my list. Since then, the harassment became worse. I'm getting called every day, lots of awful texts, calling me selfish, calling me murderer. I tried my best to keep and look strong, but I have been breaking in tears every day at the shower. It still hurts. We tried for the restriction order, but it's going to be stupidly slow, as they don't believe I'm in immediately risk, and because it's December and people don't do much on this days. But my breaking point arrived 2 days ago, when my mother called again. I take all the calls and record them to try to have something that helped me, in case she says something or admit what my brother did. But this time, she went right to hurt me. She always knew how to hurt me. What buttons press. She told me lots of awful things, like how they told everyone in their community that I ran away because I was an addict and became a prostitute, that I was ashamed, that I will burn in hell for killing my father, for lie and turn my back to the family. She told me how I was broken March, that no one would ever really love me for not being pure, that man, that's how she called my husband, would use me, get bored and leave me as the trash I am, and that every man would do the same. She kept on it for 30 minutes. I tried to reply at the beginning, make her say something, make her to commit a mistake, but at some point it was too much. I couldn't stand anymore and break. My husband found me on the floor. I was a crying mess, shaking. I tried to be strong, to face them, to maybe find some justice for what he did. But I couldn't take it anymore. I'm not that strong. He hugged me while I cried. I begged him to never leave, to love me, to take me away from there. I didn't want to know anything about them. He let me cry and supported me until I fell asleep. I don't know how he did it, but I woke up in bed. It was 4 a.m. when I woke up. He was still awake, taking care of me. I told him that I couldn't do it anymore. I can't stand against this. The transplant, trying to make my brother pay. I was done and just wanted to escape. He told me that we would do anything I wanted, as long as I was safe and happy. Yesterday he came to me and asked me if I really meant what I said about an escape. I told him yes. I wanted to just get out, turn off my phone, and to don't think about any of this, so I was impatient for our trip. Every year we stay with his family for Christmas and New Year. His family is amazing, and those days are super fun. Well, he said that we could have a little vacations before our vacations. He said that after a little research, he got us a trip to Las Vegas and Disney. He got everything ready, only needed to confirm. So if he was asking me, I really wanted to get out. I was livid. I freaking love Disney and always wanted to go to Disneyland. I wanted to say yes, but how are we going to pay it? We are not poor and had some savings, but everything he was offering me sounds really expensive. To put you in context, my husband loves video games, and, beside our own savings, he has been saving to buy a complete gaming setup. He wanted to buy it for his birthday, but he told me that after he saw me and how I was, he needed to do something. So he decided to take that money and use it. This is one of the most beautiful things he had done for me. I cried and hugged him. So now, we are going to USA. I'm aware this is not a solution, and these monsters will still be there when I return. But with this, I'm getting away from them, to have peace and fun, and to be surrounded of people that love and care about me. To me, that is a win. I notified the hospital that I'm being pressured for the transplant, and that I don't want to do it. Now, no matter what, I'm not giving him anything. I send a final text to my mother, saying I will never do it, to stop harassing me and never try to talk to me again, and that I will go to the police and do everything I can to put my brother in jail. I don't want any of them in my life again. I blocked my mother's number and every unknown number that they had used these days, in going full, no contact again. It's going to be hard, long, and painful, but I had my husband's support and all you beautiful Reddit people. Again, thank you, and happy holidays to everyone. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for not moving out of the property my parents gave me so that my golden child sister, her husband, and kid could move in? My 34-year-old female sister, 31-year-old female, was the first among 4 siblings to have a kid, 5-year-old female. My niece is incredibly spoiled by my sister, our parents, and extended family, and my parents bend over backwards for my sister's requests, like canceling their anniversary trip because my sister asked to babysit while she goes on a girls' weekend. This spring, my boyfriend and rock in my life passed away. At the same time, I lost my job. I had a lot going on and moved back to my hometown. My parents own a rural property they used to rent out. The property had been empty for a while and fairly run down. My parents invited me to stay there, rent-free, told me it was my home for as long as I needed. I invested a lot of my time and money, found a remote gig, into getting the house fixed up. I also made friends with Ola, a Ukrainian refugee with a young daughter. Ola was struggling and I invited her to stay with me for a couple of months while she gets back on her feet. I could use company as well. She was very thankful, but hasn't made a firm response yet, as she's trying to make things work independently. My parents had no issue with this. Until recent drama, my brother-in-law had been working for a shady company, which skirted regulations for profit. The law had caught up with the owner, who folded the company and left the country. I'll cut this short given the post-character limit. A few other things went down, and my sister's family abruptly moved to our hometown, moving in with my parents. Almost immediately, my parents and sister approached me to swap. I move in with our parents and sis, and her family take my place. They said the house I lived in was too large for one person, and it'd be so much better for my niece to live on a beautiful property in nature. I didn't understand. My parents have 2 guest rooms, my sister brother-in-law, and the kid have their own bedrooms. I sure didn't at 5. My brother-in-law is still loaded from his old job and could easily get them a place too. They are buying a flashy car. When I mentioned my work on the property, it was dismissed. When I reminded them about Olha, my parents were outraged. I was still intent on helping someone else and their child, and not my own sister and niece. They kept making out my sister's situation to be nearly as bad as Olda's. Eventually, it came down to my parents saying, "You're living on our property. You'll do as we want." I said, "Well, you gave it to me and said this was my house as well, to be my home for as long as I needed. But if we want to talk in property terms and not family terms, evict me then." My parents are not evicting, but I received daily calls and messages from them and extended family guilt-tripping me and calling me and after hours for not giving up the more comfortable space to my sister, who is in such a difficult situation and has a little child. Only my brothers see my side, but since they are young men in college, their opinion means nothing to my family. I feel like I am taking crazy pills. Am I the a-hole? My opinion for OP. I'm really sorry to hear about the difficult situation you're facing. It's clear that you've been through a lot recently, and it's important to prioritize your own well-being and decisions during this time. Based on the information you provided, here's my perspective. You are not the asshole in this situation. It's understandable that your family wants to support your sister and her child, but it's also crucial that your needs and boundaries are respected. You've invested time, effort, and resources into improving the property and creating a stable living situation for yourself and Ola. You also have your own grief and challenges to deal with after the loss of your boyfriend and job. Your parents initially offered you the property and told you it was your home for as long as you need it. It's unfair for them to suddenly change their stance and pressure you into swapping homes with your sister, especially without taking your feelings and circumstances into account. While your sister's situation may be challenging, it doesn't negate your own struggles and needs. It's important to communicate your feelings calmly and assertively to your parents. Explain that you have put a lot of effort into making the property your home, and that you have your own responsibilities and challenges to navigate. You can express sympathy for your sister's situation, while also standing up for yourself. Boundaries are essential for your well-being, and it's okay to prioritize yourself in this situation. Ultimately, your decisions about your living situation should be based on what's best for you and aligned with your own needs and values. It might be helpful to have an open and honest conversation with your parents, explaining your perspective and feelings. If the pressure and guilt tripping from your family continue, consider seeking support from friends, a therapist, or a counselor to help you navigate these complex dynamics and emotions. Remember, you're not alone, and it's okay to prioritize your own needs and well-being during this challenging time. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for never contacting my parents for 7 years? I, 28-year-old male, live in Denver, Colorado with my wife Gabby, 28-year-old female. This incident happened at a birthday party 7 years ago. I used to always contact my parents. They would host Christmas parties and birthday parties every year. But one day, it all changed. It was my brother-in-law's birthday party. My wife, girlfriend at the time, was at a work meeting in Utah, and I was driving to their house from the airport after I dropped her off. I had already told my parents I might be late, but when I arrived, they seemed a bit annoyed at me. I wasn't sure why, so I put my gift with all the other gifts by their TV and excused myself to the restroom. After a couple of minutes, I went downstairs to see that the party had changed completely. I walked in to see what was wrong. The music was off, people were leaving, and everybody was silent. I noticed my sister had left too, which was strange as it was her husband's party. My mom told me to leave and I asked why. She asked me again, this time more sternly. I grabbed my coat from the coat hanger and walked to my car. Inside, my sister came and knocked on my door and asked if I could take her to my house. I asked why, and she told me that my brother-in-law said that me and my sister were having screw. I was enraged by this. I drove to my house and took my sister, Lindsay, inside. Me and Lindsay shared a dorm in college and lived in a small house together before she got married. We were very close. I offered for her to sleep in my bed, and I would sleep on the couch. She went upstairs to get changed, and I immediately called my brother-in-law. I shouted at him for accusing me, and he kept telling me that it was true and that I should stop lying. He told me that I'm not to contact anyone in our family ever again. After that, I began to notice my family were saying bad things about me on social media, and they all began blocking my number and social media accounts. My sister got a new job at Walmart near my house, and after a couple years, she moved out. My girlfriend came home not long after and told me about the situation. I explained everything to her, and she believed me. Fast forward today, I was living my best life. I had just been married with only my wife's side of the family and some people on my side of the family attending. I got a new job as a police officer, and I completely forgot about my family. That was until a couple days ago. I was playing Call of Duty with my friends, and I got a phone call. I decided to ignore it until after the game. We had a break, which we always did after every hour of playing, so I decided to get a drink and grab some snacks. Then after that, I called the person back. It was my mom. She told me that she was sorry, and that my brother-in-law confessed to it being lies. My sister still hasn't got back together with him. My mom told me to call her back as soon as possible, if it was okay for me to come back in contact. I still haven't. I'm not sure if I should. That's all for today. If you are enjoying this story, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you.